At this time, I'd like to recognize our honored guest, Consul General Robert Hall and Vice Consul Liam Clark, and the rest of the crew at the Irish Consular Office in Austin. I'd also like to thank everyone who's joining us on Facebook Live, and our partners in this, our San Antonio Councilman Mario Bravo, Jonathan Gilbert, our pipers, the Harp and Shamrock Society who have put this event on, and of course, we cannot do this without the staff and assistance of the Alamo. So at this time, I would like to welcome our chaplain, Linda Keane, for the benediction. If you would, please remove your hats.
This will be an eyes open invocation. We're going to invoke God's presence, and so keep your eyes open. Holy One, giver of life, rock and redeemer, night and day, all creation declares your glory. You knit us into being and made us in your image. You call us by name. You are already in this place. We, your people, join with all you have created, these trees and their birds, this canopy of sky and moon, sun and stars, fields of bluebonnet flowers, and these very stones on which we stand. We claim once more this sacred space that you hallowed long ago, deeply aware of the cost of freedom, deeply yearning for peace, in deep solidarity with those who flee oppression, deeply grateful that you show us how to live and love and die and rise again. Eternal Spirit of love, we join with you and the community of saints gathered here now, in the name of the one who is known by many names. Amen.
Thank you, Linda. It was wonderful as ever. I now invite the St. Mary's ROTC Color Guard for the presentation of the colors. Again, if you will remove your hats. this time, I'd like to invite Allison Mulvey, the current Harvard Shamrock Society of Texas president. Allison.
Thank you, Terry. Good morning, everyone. Minister Donnelly, Consul General Hall, Vice Consul General Clark, Mayor Bravo, Mayor Nurnberg's office, he's here, Councilman Bravo, my friends, and other honored guests. I'm Allison Hicks Mulvey, and it's my honor to be the president this year of the Harvard Shamrock Society of Texas. Balcha, or as we say down here, bienvenidos. We are so glad to have each of you here with us. Welcoming here to the Texas Shrine of Liberty. I love history. And while planning this event, I learned something that I did not know for the first time. This event actually predates the founding of our organization. When they were working on organizing the Harvard Shamrocks some 55 years ago at this point, this was their very first event. Therefore, it's fitting. We should be standing here celebrating history and commemorating those men who fought and died here. Those men who in 1836 answered a call, and not just men from Ireland, as Terry said, men from all over the place. But today, especially for St. Patrick's Day, we like to pay a little bit more attention to our Irish brothers and sisters who came here and died. They came to defend something that nowadays we kind of take a little for granted, and it's sacred. Because all too often, especially in Ireland at that point, it was denied them. That ideal is liberty. So when they heard that there was a group here in far-off Tejas who wanted to defend liberty, they answered this call and said, yes, I will leave my family. I will leave every single thing and everyone that I hold dear. And I will come to a place I've never heard of to defend something that is so very, very precious to us. Off for Texas to liberty. But as my mother likes to say, we are Irish. We might join a good fight. This year is especially meaningful because we are presenting a plaque to the Alamo that commemorates those 38 men who are Irish-born or of Irish descent. And I really doubt that they realized when they were fighting all those years ago that we would be here in the middle of San Antonio, Texas, the 7th largest city in this nation, to honor them. But we are here because they were here. We are a unique city in that we like to honor everything, and we celebrate everything. We celebrate everyone. But there again, that's Irish. We want to celebrate your culture as much as we like you to come celebrate ours. And we love to celebrate everybody, and we celebrate at a drop of a hat, especially here in San Antonio. We are committed to sharing and honoring. And today, especially, we're honoring these wonderful people who died 130 years ago. Speaking of celebration, this is also my time to give a brief recognition to some people who help us every day during all of our events for this organization. They are our CUSAC Award winners. They are our dedicated, two especially very dedicated volunteers who anything we ask, they give their time, they give us their talent, their thoughts, their energy. This year's 2022 CUSAC Award winners are Deidre Murphy and Linda Keane. Thank you both, ladies. This organization is so much better with you in it. We we also recognize that one individual who's gone just a little bit above and beyond the call. They are our Irishman of the Year. This is the one person whose actions promote the Irish culture in San Antonio that, as I say, just go that extra step. And this year's gentleman has been doing it for a very long time. It is my privilege to present this year's Irishman of the Year, Wayne Bott.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Terry. Minister Donnelly, Council General Hull, Vice Council Clark, Harp and Shamrock members, past Irishman of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome to our great city of San Antonio. First, my thanks to last year's Irishman of the Year, Dana Goodman, for heading this year's selection committee and for their vote of confidence in selecting me as Irishman of the Year. I pledge to wear the title and sash proudly in honor of those who have worn it before me. Second, I am honored to be part of this wreath-laying ceremony on these historic grounds. Today, on this St. Patrick's Day, we celebrate the Feast of St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. St. Patrick's Day is a global celebration and has been celebrated by the Irish for over 1,000 years. It has always been a reflective and joyful holiday. I invite you to consider visiting the beautiful country of Ireland if you ever get the chance. Ireland's population is estimated at about 5 million people, but over 11 million visitors were welcomed to Ireland in 2019. The Irish are considered Europe's most charitable people. The Irish have a long and proud presence in San Antonio. Irish immigrants played a vital role in San Antonio's history. As you enter the Alamo, one of the first flags you'll see is the Irish flag. And in a few moments, you'll hear the reading of the names of the Irish who died here at the Alamo in March of 1836. And to echo what has been said, I also invite each and every one of you to enjoy the St. Patrick's Day festivities today and this weekend at the Riverwalk. And finally, I would like to leave you with an Irish toast. Here's to the land of the shamrock so green. Here's to each lad and his darling Colleen. Here's to the ones we love dearest and most. May God bless Ireland. That's this Irishman's toast. So I want to thank you again. I want to wish each and every one of you a happy and a very safe St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne, and I can see you are rocking the green socks. Those are awesome. All right. At this time, I'd like to introduce a representative from the Alamo Trust, Mr. Colby Lanham. Colby?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this ceremony today. We're very excited to have this on the Alamo grounds, and I'm very excited to be representing the Alamo today. My job is going to be to talk a little bit about the history of the Irish in Texas and the pivotal role they play here at the Battle of the Alamo. The values and ideas of freedom are well known among the Irish. The Irish are also familiar with the process in which freedom is obtained. In fact, for hundreds of years, the Irish fought to gain their independence. Irish Republican and leader of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, Tom Clark, said this right before his execution on May 3rd, 1916. My comrades and I believe we have struck the first successful blow for freedom. And so sure as we are going out this morning, so sure will freedom come as a direct result of our action. In this belief, we die happy. Tom Clark represents the bold and independent spirit that his forefathers showed during the 11 Years' War, the United Irish Rebellion of 1798, and many other conflicts in the Irish struggle for independence. Ultimately, it was oppression that pushed the Irish to Texas. To tell the story of early Texas and the Texian struggle for independence and what took place here on the sacred ground on March 6, 1836, one must remember to include the Irish. The Irish come to Texas during the reign of Spain as early as 1767. Men like Hugo O'Connor served as the governor of Texas and later the general of the Yucatan in the Spanish army. Explorer and trader Philip Nolan was born in Belfast and brought wild herds of Texas Mustangs into the United States. Nolan is also credited with mapping early Texas and paving the way for immigrants moving into this territory. James Houston, James Powers, John McMullen, and James McGloin were early impresarios who helped form colonies in early Texas. These men, their families, and many other Irish worked the land and carved a life out of a hostile frontier. Father Michael Moulden served as the Catholic Church, served under the Catholic Church as working with the last Spanish viceroy of Texas. When the Spanish were forced out of Mexico, Father Muldoon stayed behind to be the priest of Stephen F. Austin's colony. When Stephen F. Austin was imprisoned by the Mexican authorities for suspicion of inciting insurrection, it was Father Muldoon who went to President Santa Anna to obtain Austin's release. In 1835, when the call for revolution was made, the Irish answered that call. The plow and the shovel were replaced with the rifle and the musket, and the Irish sweat spilled in the fields of Texas was replaced with blood at this very spot and many others. There were 9 Irishmen inside the Alamo on the morning of March 6th. Among them were Andrew Duvalt, who was born in Ireland in 1804 and immigrated to Texas via Missouri, settling nearby Gonzales. Duvalt took part in the siege of Behar and afterwards remained in the town as a member of the Bear Guards. Sometime after February 2, 1836, he returned to his home in Gonzales and was later mustered into the Gonzales Ranging Company of Mounted Volunteers by Baird Lockhart on February 23, 1836. Duvalt returned to the Alamo, probably as a member of the relief force from Gonzales on March 1, 1836, and ultimately gave his life on the morning of March 6th. Robert Evans, the ordnance chief of the Alamo garrison, was born in Ireland in 1800 and traveled to Texas via New York by way of New Orleans. After the siege of Bear in December of 1835, he served as master of ordnance of the garrison. Battle of the Alamo survivor Susanna W. Dickinson stated that during the final moments of the Battle of the Alamo on March 6th, Evans attempted to blow up the Texans' remaining gunpowder supply inside this very building with a torch. He was shot down before he could do so. Dickinson also described him as being black-haired, blue-eyed, nearly 6 feet tall, and always merry. These 2 men, among with Burke Tremmel, William B. Ward, Jackson J. Rusk, James McGee, William Daniel Jackson, Joseph M. Hawkins, and Samuel Burns, gave their lives here on this hallowed ground. 4 Irishmen signed the Texas Declaration of Independence, and over 100 Irish were present at San Jacinto when Texas won its independence. The origin story of Texas is one of duty, sacrifice, honor, and pride. In order to tell the story, one must include the Irish. No other ethnic group has such a lasting impact on the early history of our state. Their sacrifice helped pave a path for Texas independence and the birth of a nation. We must remember these men when we say, remember the Alamo. Thank you.
And now it's my great privilege and honor to introduce Melinda Britton, a former president of the Harper and Shamrock Society. But she has spearheaded this project, and I'm going to let her talk about it, but through her time and dedication, we're here today to present this, to have this plaque placed here at the Alamo. Melinda?
Good afternoon. And Terry, what a wonderful introduction. I didn't expect that. In 2019, I was president, and we were visited by Irish Ambassador Daniel Mulhall, who visited San Antonio for his very first time. He was impressed by the Alamo, of course, and especially by the Irish flag just inside the doors. He thought that perhaps a more permanent tribute to those Irishmen should be placed there underneath that flag. So we went to work on getting that done. Therefore, we got it done. In addition to the annual wreath laying that we do each year, we're also dedicating this plaque to be placed beneath the Alamo flag, just inside the Alamo doors. The stone that we now have was quarried in the windswept and beautiful Connemara region that lies in the westernmost part of Ireland. This green marble stone, rare and iconic, was cut for us by J.C. Walsh and Sons, Ltd., whose family business in Connemara cut this stone especially for the Alamo plaque. It reads, "The people of Ireland and those of Irish ancestry dedicate this plaque to the Irishman who defended the Alamo in 1836. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce the Irish Minister for Health, Stephen Donnelly."
Good morning. A Cordian Heron, Friends of Ireland. Is more an honour domsa, Lard live in you. It's a great honour for me to speak with you all here today. I'd like to first thank the Harp and Shamrock Society of Texas for welcoming us all so warmly this morning and allowing me to participate in your annual tradition here. My relationship with the United States goes back quite some time. I was a lifeguard in Martha's Vineyard. Yes, I was the pinkest lifeguard the United States has ever seen. I was a student in Boston. I was a worker in Washington, D.C. And I had a word with my friends in government and said, when you're sending the members of the Irish government all over the world for St. Patrick's Day, make sure that I get to come back to my second home, the United States of America. How did I end up in San Antonio and in the wonderful state of Texas? Well, I've been the Minister for Health through a 100-year global pandemic, so I think they must have felt I deserve to go to the very best place in America and celebrate it all here with you today. As we gather on St. Patrick's Day at the old Mission building that is so central to the history of Texas and to the spirit of Texas, I'm really pleased to share in the state's connection with Ireland. I know this is a very special day for the Irish American community here in Texas, the Irish diaspora and Friends of Ireland here in San Antonio. St. Patrick's Day is a time for us to express together our deep pride in what it means to be Irish, our gratitude for the sense of community that is created and has been fostered by Irish immigrants to Texas and all over the world. Yours here today is a wonderful example of this, and I know that you, as we did in Ireland, will have discovered a deeper meaning of community in the last few years. Indeed, there have been many, many difficult days through COVID, As Minister for Health, there have been some very tough times in fighting COVID, and it has come at an awful cost to so many. One of the things it has done is it has helped us reconnect with our neighbours, help us reconnect with our communities, and remember that we must help each other, we must support each other, we must protect each other, we must stay connected, particularly in times of difficulty. Today I'd like to acknowledge the fantastic efforts of the Harp and Shamrock Society to preserve the story of Irish heritage here in San Antonio. I know that generations of your families have gathered each St. Patrick's Day to celebrate, to participate in this ceremony, and to remember the names of the Irishmen held as heroes here. It's a real honour to be able to present you with the plaque of Connemara marble to remain inside the Alamo as a permanent reminder of Ireland's connection and Ireland's contribution to that story. The story, of course, of the Battle of the Alamo as a symbol of freedom, as a symbol of self-sacrifice, is well known, including in Ireland, and I was very fortunate this morning to learn more, and I'd like to thank Kobe for sharing his knowledge, sharing his passion, and showing me some of the extraordinary artifacts that have been preserved here. It sounds like there are some very ambitious and exciting plans to expand the situation here, to expand the presence here. I very much look forward to seeing that. It is a fascinating story. It's a multifaceted story, as too obviously is the history of the Irish and their role right across America. At home, we understand the complexities that surround history, or surround historical commemorations. We're currently reaching the end of our own decade of commemorations, marking the formative events leading to the foundation of the Irish state, ultimately to the foundation of the Irish Republic. Our approach has been guided by a number of principles. They include that the aim of commemoration should be to broaden our sympathies without having to abandon any loyalties, and in particular to recognise the values and ideals of sacrifice. It's difficult as we gather here today to commemorate the Irish lives lost at the Battle of the Alamo not to think of the people of Ukraine right now, currently caught up in a terrible conflict with Russia's unjustified and unprovoked aggression. In the context of this, in the context of what the people of Ukraine are going through, Ireland has chosen to mark this particular St. Patrick's Day in a slightly different way. We've chosen to mark it with solidarity rather than just celebration, as we express our Irish identity by rededicating ourselves to democratic and humanitarian values. The events of the past week have shown us once again that community, and what a community we can see here in San Antonio, that community is a universal value. It demands solidarity with our fellow human beings. Connection and community are themes that resonate strongly through our history and that link us both to our people abroad and show solidarity again with the people of Ukraine. I'd like to thank the Harp and Shamrock Society today, not just for organising this event, but for their ongoing work to promote, preserve, foster Irish history and culture in Texas, and to support the community here. Thank you all so much for everything that you do. I'd like to thank also the Alamo Trust. It's been a real pleasure to join you here today and to learn so much about the iconic history of the Alamo and all of your efforts to preserve it. Thank you. Finally, can I convey a really special and heartfelt thanks to the Harp and Shamrock President, Alison Mulvey, to Melinda Britton, to Linda Keane, to Melissa Schultz for your work with the consulate to bring this project together, to allow me to spend this wonderful day in this wonderful city, in this wonderful state. I wish you all a very happy and enjoyable St. Patrick's Day. Thank you so much for coming here today. Gorh míle maith agaibh, agus lá féile Pádraig, Sonadíobh Giléir.
Mommy, I saw somebody go in.
I was going to say something about having to follow a politician, but I'm not going to after all. At this time, I'd like to call the daughter of our founder, Sean Burke, Eileen Thought, to solemnly read the names of the fallen Irish and those of Irish descent. Eileen.
Heroes at the Alamo Shrine from Ireland: Samuel E. Burns, Andrew Duvant, Robert Evans, Joseph M. Hawkins, William Daniel Rusk, Thomas Jackson, James McGee, Robert McKinney, James Nowlin, Burke Trammell, William Ward. From Texas: James Brown, James Hannon, Samuel B. Blair, Edward McCafferty, Miles Andros, Jerry C. Day, Joseph Valentine, and Robert Moore. From Kentucky, Tennessee, and other states: David Crockett, Peter James Bailey, Daniel William Cloud, William H. Fauntleroy, George Butler, Charles Clark, Green B. Jameson, James Garand, Joseph Kerr, Isaac Ryan, James Kenny, William Lynn, William T. Malone, William P. King, Charles S. Smith, Jonathan L. Lindley, and many other known patriots who valued freedom more than life itself at this shrine. Please remain standing for taps.
Please remain standing. The flowers have been laid. In solidarity with those of Irish descent who have given their all in the name and cause of freedom, may we remember as we lay stone on stone. And now, hear this benediction. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the moon and stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of the Son of Peace to you. Deep peace to you.
That concludes today's ceremony. And I'd like to invite you that if on this day you intend to raise a glass and a toast, remember the Alamo, remember the Irish. Thank you for coming.